Hello learners, myself Dr. Rabishankar Giri from Presidency University, Kolkata. Today I will discuss types of communication. It is lesson 13 under Unit 6 Information Communication. In this lecture, I will discuss what is communication, what are the types of communication, and then I will discuss each type of communication, their advantages and disadvantages, what are the critical factors associated with each type of communication that are to be followed for effective communication. What is communication? Communication is the process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts and feelings between individual or groups. We in society exchange our thoughts, ideas, feelings, emotion through different manners depending upon the occasion, context, type of message, background of the interacting person. Take an example of a football match. You will see that coach sometimes shouted out, sometimes showing hand signal, sometimes through headset, communicate with players in the ground from the sideline of the ground. All his actions aim to quickly convey the tactical adjustment, player positioning and key plays depending on the situation of the field. So, communication can take place in a variety of ways. If we categorize these ways, we will find that communication can broadly be divided in two types: verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Communication can also be categorized according to their levels. There are 4 types of communication when categorized according to their level. These are intrapersonal communication, interpersonal communication, group communication, mass communication. Now, verbal communication and its type. In verbal communication, we use spoken or written words to convey some message. Verbal communication may be face-to-face conversation, phone calls, video chats, speeches or written forms like letters and emails. It is one of the most direct ways through which we share thoughts, ideas, emotions and information with others. Take the example of classroom teaching. When a teacher teaches in class, he speaks, he writes on the blackboard, he may use PowerPoint or video to explain, emphasize certain points. On the other side, students sit silently to listen attentively the lectures and presentation. All these modes of communication comes under the category of verbal communication. So, verbal communication can be divided into 4 categories: oral communication, written communication, visual and audio-visual communication, silence. Oral communication. Oral communication is a kind of verbal communication where spoken words are used to exchange information, ideas, thoughts and feelings. It may be face-to-face talk, telephonic talk, video chat, television or radio talk. Effective oral communication depends on many personal traits. Oral communication is effective when it ensures that message is clear and engaging and understood by the intended audience. Some important factors of effective oral communication are clarity and conciseness. For example, when you speak clearly and get to the point, avoid using jargon or complex language that might confuse your listeners. Tone and pitch. The way you say something can be as important as what you say. So, you should use a tone that matches the message and adjust your pitch to keep the listener engaged. Pacing and pausing. Speak at a comfortable speed. Too fast, your message will be lost. Too slow, your audience may lose interest. In oral communication, non-verbal cues are very much important. Non-verbal cues like body language, facial expression, and eye contacts play a significant role in communication. Active listening, then organization and structure. Organization and structure means when you speak some message, a well-structured message is easier to follow and understand. So, organize your thoughts before speaking. Confidence, speak with confidence to convey authority and trustworthiness. Practice your delivery if necessary to feel more self-assured. Feedback is often necessary, that it helps to ensure that your message is being understood and intended. So, by paying attention to these factors, one can enhance his or her oral communication skill and make interaction more effective and meaningful. Oral communication have some advantage as well as disadvantage. What are the advantages? Advantages are that high level of transparency and understanding, quick feedback available because in maximum case it is face to face, and dispute resolution is early. Facial expression and body language is visible so that you can understand in the intention of the person and you can use the meaning of the words. Flexibility, time and other resource saving, it is very much helpful for teamwork. And oral communication is best for confidential exchange of information. What are the disadvantages then? It is very much informal and no proof of decision. Poor personal traits like such as stammering, weaker command on language, non-coherency may give poor impression. It may consume long time in meetings and it requires great attentiveness and receptivity from the part of the listeners. Sometimes it may have no legal standing. Then come to the written communication. Written communication is the process of conveying message through written words. The written communication is usually transmitted via email, letter, notes, memos, or social media platform. We generally use social media platforms for mass communication as well as individual communication. For instance, we primarily use WhatsApp platform for individual communication or group communication, whereas Facebook or Twitter is primarily used for group or mass communication. Individual written communication is mostly followed in the office and the business. There are some key principles of the effective written communication. First is that clarity and simplicity. Use clear and simple, straightforward language. Avoid jargon, complex words, and ambiguous phrases. Conciseness, be brief and to the point. Proper grammar and punctuation is necessary. Use of correct grammar, punctuation, spelling errors is necessary. Otherwise, they can distract from your message and may give a negative impression. And structure your writing in a very logical manner so that the reader can understand it properly. Also, the written communication has a tone and style. Match the tone of your writing to your audience and the purpose. For formal communication, use a professional tone. For informal communication, you may use the conversational tone, which may seems to be more appropriate. And before writing anything, you should understand what is the about your audience. So tailor your content to the meet the needs of and their expectation. Revising is and editing is very much essential to make it error free. Clarity and effectiveness, consistency, these are required. By focusing these principles, one can enhance written communication skills and ensure his or her message is well received. Then what are the advantages of written communication? Written communication is always a permanent record and it can be used as a reference in future, and the sender can write, rewrite to make it error free before sending. And presence of sender and the receiver is not required simultaneously. Sometimes there are complex matters that cannot be talked over in a satisfactory manner. In the written communication, complex matters can be explained. What are the disadvantages? Sometimes it takes much time, so it is time consuming. It requires good command over the language from the part of the writer. Poorly written communication may create poor impression. Feedback is not instant, and lack of personal touch in the written communication. Then come to the visual communication. Written or oral communication alone has certain limitation, which may create poor impression on the recipient, and the desired result may not be achieved. In order to overcome this difficulty, we use visual aids to convey information message. These visual aids are images like photographs, illustration, diagrams. We use charted graphs to represent data, infographics combining text and visuals to present information in a concise and engaging way, symbols and icons, typographical or sometimes visual tools we use. Audiovisual communication combines both visual and auditory elements to enhance the impact of message. Example includes videos like film, documentaries, video clips, animation, etc. are used to convey stories or information. Presentation, slideshow along with the multimedia presentation that integrate text, images, audios, video to support spoken message, webinar, online tool, television and radio talk. These are the things we use as a audiovisual communication tools. Both visual and audiovisual communication have the advantage of being highly engaging and can make complex information more accessible and memorable. They are widely used in marketing, entertainment, and various professional fields. The advantages of the audio or audiovisual communication, they are much more popular and create a lasting impression on the mind of the listener. It supports oral communication in a great extent. It facilitates easy presentation of the complex data. It is very much helpful in publicity for those who are working in the marketing field, for the rural clients that are very much helpful, and all as well as for the non-core audiences. And sometimes it saves the time and decision making becomes easier, because due to presentation that one cannot have to go too long through the written text. From the graph or from the picture, they can understand what the writer or the speaker want to convey. There are disadvantages. It is more expensive. Preparing audio visual communication is very much expensive, as well as time consuming. Sometimes becomes complex. The most important problem is that infrastructural problems, because preparing audiovisual communication requires ICT support and infrastructural support. Next is the silence. Though it may sound odd, silence is also a mode of communication. It is a nuanced and context-dependent form of communication. It can convey different meanings based on the situation, relationship between the people involved, and the cultural context. It is often said, silence speaks louder than words, because it allows others to feel the intensity of the moment. Silence facilitates moments of introspection that encourage clear understanding of our action, thus fostering reflection. Besides creating space for reflection, Silence can convey meaning in several ways. These are active listening. During conversation, silence can show that you are actively listening and giving the speaker your full attention. It indicates respect and thoughtfulness. Nonverbal cues. Silence, body language, such as comforting touch or eye contact, can communicate some support, empathy, or understanding without needing words, indicating agreement or disagreement. Silence can signal agreement, especially in a group setting where not speaking up can imply consensus. Conversely, it can also indicate disagreement or discomfort when someone chooses not to voice their thoughts. It is very much helpful in managing conflicts. In heated situation, choosing to remain silent can prevent escalation of the situation and give everyone a chance to cool down before continuing the conversation. So, silence is very much helpful in managing conflicts. Silence also can create suspense or emphasis. Example, in storytelling or public speaking, strategic pause can build suspense, emphasize on key points, or give the audience time to process important information. So, silence is one of the important mode of communication. What are the advantages of silence? Silence sometimes saves from embarrassment. Suppose you are arguing with your boss is arguing with you. Remain silent sometimes help you to save from the embarrassment. It also attracts appreciation because the speaker can thought that you are giving your full attention. It also gives the time to think, to ponder upon what the speaker has said. Sometimes it is more effective than the verbal or oral communication. Silence also has some disadvantages because people may understood that your silence is you are silent because you are shy. So it may be understood as a shyness. Also, it may infer as a lack of confidence. You are silent because you are not confident to speak, or you are not confident about the matter, so you are not speaking something. It may be misunderstood as a sign of intrigue. Now, come from the verbal communication to non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication means conveying information without using words. It involves the use of facial expression, body language, eye contacts, gestures, etc. to convey message. Actually, non-verbal communication is omnipresent. In face-to-face conversation, the body, face, voice, appearance, touch, distance, timing, and the physical surroundings all have a part in creating message with or without anything being said. Example, a friend's gesture, facial expression, postures, eye contact may reveal interest. A supervisor's vocal pitch, loudness, and tempo may signal dominance. A lover's close proximity, touch, and environment in which they choose to interact may dictate intimacy. Similarly, a political leader's dress, physical attractiveness, grooming may connote credibility or lack of it. A religious place, architecture, furnishing, artifacts, surroundings may dictate degree of decorum and formality to be followed and how we feel and communicate within the space. Even in text communication like email, non-verbal cues are very much important. So when we write something, we sometimes make it bold, italics or the colors or giving punctuation to emphasize some things or to convey some message through these text formatting tools. So non-verbal cues are omnipresent and multifunctional. If not properly expressed or understood, may lead misunderstanding. Thus, our awareness about non-verbal communication is vital for understanding the needs, feelings, emotion, and thoughts of others. Research has revealed that messages between the individuals are conveyed 55% by body language, 38% by voice, and the 7% by words only. Thus, greater understanding of non-verbal cues will enhance our quality of life and also will give us the ability to relate to others from a greater degree of understanding, empathy, and compassion. Now, the types of non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is of the following types. First is the kinesics, haptics, proxemics, appearance and artifacts, chronemics, iconics, paralinguistic. These are 7 types that comes under the non-verbal communication. Now I will discuss each of these types. What is kinesics? Actually, kinesics is the body language. To communicate with body language, it's called kinesics communication. It is a form of non-verbal communication, and kinesics may be defined as a study of the body movements, gestures, facial expression, etc. as a means of communication. Kinesics is communicating by body movement without uttering any word. It is perhaps the most often used in non-verbal communication. Then come to the haptics. Haptics also a part of the communication. It is the notion of interaction through touch. The non-verbal form of communication, touch, carries ethical and moral implication in educational practices. A pat by the teacher in the back of a student is a sign of encouragement, and it is many times more powerful than verbal communication. Ging 2011 emphasizes that touch can be an effective tool in order to control students with attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder. Haptics is the study of the non-verbal communication that is transmitted via sense of touch. Touch may be of several types, such as functional, professional, social, polite, friendship, and warmth. At the functional and professional level, touch is related to a goal, meaning some specific action. But at the social level, socially sanctioned touching behavior help initiate interaction. For example, a handshake is a sign of welcome with warmth, but a prolonged handshake may be inappropriate. A pat on the shoulder or back of the junior colleague is a sign of congratulation and encouragement, but this touch may have different connotation on different occasions and between people from different backgrounds. Now come to the proxemics. Proxemics, it refers to the study of human space and distance in communication. While talking to an unknown person, we always keep a safe distance, and if he comes closer to us, we feel a little bit uncomfortable. But while conversing with your friends, the time and spacing, thus there are different space depending on the relationship between the persons communicating. In general, there are 4 types of space people use while communicating. One is the public space. In the public space, the distance is around 12 feet or more. Social space, 4 to 5 feet, 2% distance. This is usually used in the professional or social conversation. Then come to the personal space, 1.5 to 4 feet. That is the personal space bubble, people always refer that one. It starts from the body and extends to 4 feet. This is the zone of communicating with the friends and close acquaintance. Then there is a intimate space. If people come closer than 1.5 feet, they enter into the intimate zone. The zone is reserved for the closest friend, family, and intimate partners. A breach of this space can be comforting in same context, but may be annoying and frightening in others. The next, appearance and artifacts. Appearance and artifacts also is an important part of communication, because the first impression of the people created by his appearance and the artifacts he used. Appearance has 2 components. One is the physical characteristic and the artifacts, and how body is covered or adorned. Factors such as height, physique, shape, weight, etc. contribute to making physical appearance attractive or otherwise. Although to some extent one does not have control over this aspect, research shows that an attractive personality has distinct advantage in imitating or intimating the communication. Natural physical advantages can be some extent overcome by covering the body with attractive clothes and artifacts. Okay? So, appearance and artifacts have a meaning in the communication, and they can also communicate in some ways. Then next come to the chronemics. Chronemics is that how time is considered sometimes a message itself, and it is a form of verbal communication. Then iconics. Iconics interpretation of symbolism. For example, traffic signal. When we see the red, we stop, because this is also a kind of non-verbal cues. When we see the red, we stop. When we see the green, we just start. So iconics has a meaning in the social life. They can also communicate it in a great extent. Then come to the paralinguistic. Paralanguage is that one, any non-verbal action that supports the word, it's called paralanguage, which is also known as the vocalic. According to the study, 90% of communication is non-verbal. Getting one's message across is made through the voice inflection, facial expression, body gesture. Okay? So paralinguistics has a meaning. Even when we write something in the mail, we may use different font color, punctuation, etc. in written text to emphasize some points. So they are known as the paralinguist. Then it is to be remembered that not all cultures interpret non-verbal cues in the same way. So this can cause confusion for people of different cultural backgrounds. For instance, in Western culture, eye contact often indicates self-confidence, politeness, honesty, liking and attention. In contrast, Eastern cultures such as Chinese and Japanese usually try to avoid direct eye contact because it is a sign of respect, courtesy, and obedience. These are the form of verbal and non-verbal communication I have tried to explain. Next, I come to another level type of classification that is based on the levels. These are intrapersonal communication, interpersonal communication, group communication, public or mass communication. In intrapersonal communication, actually we communicate within oneself, within one person. For example, talking to oneself or reading something. In this type of communication, the source and the recipient of the information become the same person. This is the self-communication. Interpersonal communication means communication between two or more persons. It could be face-to-face, it could be at a distance with the help of telephone, letters, social media platforms. Then there is a group communication. In group communication, generally it takes place between small group and usually not exceeding 25 persons. It may also take place in a large groups where the communication by one or more person to an audience or more person. Public or mass communication. This generally refers to communication which takes place between one person or a group of persons through a social media to a large audience. Mostly large scale communication is disseminated by the media of print, broadcasting, film or electronic media to large audience. So that is, we are habituated to see that in the public rally the political leaders always give some lectures. These are actually form of mass communication. So learners, I hope you have got a brief idea about different types of communication. For further reading, you may consult the references I have given in the next slides. Thank you.